Limestone County Sports. I'm your show host, Greg Wise, and this is
Jay Vassar.
And we are going to be talking a little football. We are getting down to the end of the season, Jay. All of our playoff pictures are getting in focus and a little clearer from this week's region games, and we're going to let you guys know some teams in our area have been eliminated. Some teams have already clinched spots, and there is a couple of teams who are also waiting for this Friday night to see if they can clinch a playoff berth as well. And we'll be talking about that. And if we have some time, we might talk a little college football. A lot of crazy college football stuff going on this season. Not a lot of undefeated teams.
Not a lot.
A lot of other things to talk about. I don't know if we'll have time to get to that or not, but when we get to the end of our local school roundup, we'll see how much time we got left and go with it. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
Jay, we're going to kick off with a 6A Athens. They had Columbia in town. Columbia came over on Thursday night. Do you know why they moved that game on Thursday night?
I don't know if it was just an agreement with the maybe giving Athens an extra day, or I don't know what it was.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know if that was originally on the schedule.
Fall break,
Yeah. Don't know if that was originally on the schedule, if it got moved to Thursday or what. I know a lot of times late in the season, some of those teams who have playoff berths will move a game to Thursday to get an extra day in a prep for a playoff game, but they still got another week of regular season, even 2 weeks of regular season, so a little early to be doing that.
And I know their next game is a region game, so it may just needed that extra day of rest or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. And it may have just been on the schedule originally for a Thursday night. But Columbia came over. It was 48-0 at halftime in favor of Athens. Athens put a few more points on the board in the second half and beat Columbia 54-0. A couple of side notes. Athens is currently number 7 in 6A in offense, and they are number 14 in 6A in defense in the state. So got a pretty good season going. They are now 6-2 and 3-2 in region play with one more region opponent left this Friday night. They got Decatur coming to town. Decatur is a 32-point underdog. Athens is favored by 32 in this game. You like Athens to cover the 32, Jay?
I do.
You think Athens is going to cover 32 points? Now, they beat Columbia by 54. Do you remember what the spread on that game last week was? It was a lot. It seemed like it was maybe 62. And we took Athens to cover whatever the spread was against Columbia. I can't remember if it was 62 or 52.
They would have got it, but the second half, the third quarter was 8 minutes, and the fourth quarter was 5 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Just keep, saying we got a running clock or whatever, but.
Right. Let's see. Decatur comes to town with only 2 wins. Looks like they are 2-7 on the season. They have only beat one region opponent, which was Columbia. They beat Columbia 42-16. So I think Athens will probably cover that spread as well. Athens played really well against Columbia the other night. Played real well all season, even in the 2 games they lost. Those were very winnable games. I think was it Muscle Shoals beat them by 1 or 2?
No, Hartsville
beat them by.
Two.
Muscle Shoals kind of got away from them late, beat them by about 14.
Yeah.
Side note on that region as well, Hartsville and Muscle Shoals will be playing. Are they playing this week or next week?
It's this week.
They are playing this week for the region championship.
Yes.
Both of those 2 teams are undefeated in the region. Whoever wins that game will be
Hartsville's undefeated.
Yeah.
Muscle Shoals got beat by Jasper.
Oh, that's correct.
49,
Muscle Shoals has a loss. Hartsville is undefeated in the region, so same thing. Whoever wins that game will be the region champ. They just won't be Muscle Shoals wouldn't be undefeated, but they would. Hartsville would have one loss, and then Muscle Shoals would win that tiebreaker. That puts 3 seed is Athens. They have actually clinched that seed in the playoffs, and so no matter what happens with Decatur, I think they have the tiebreaker on Coleman, which is the 4 seed, and so they're pretty much in. They don't have to do anything from here on out. Now, you know they want to win games, especially that region game against Decatur, and then Coleman. I meant to look and see what the projection was for their first round game. Let me see if I can find that real quick, Jay.
I think it's Homewood.
Got them, let's see, 6A here. Scroll up. They have Athens, yes, at Homewood in the first round. Now, these are just projections via the ahsfhs.org website that we use. And I was telling Jay before the show started, they've been changing every week depending on which regions. Some of these regions are going down to the wire, and so some of those positions change every week. And so, but now they're projecting Athens to play at Homewood in the first round. Anything else on Athens, Jay?
Just Friday night will be senior night, so it'll be a lot of folks there and a lot of great seniors that have played there for Athens this past 4 years, and
excuse me.
Hopefully they'll get to win against Decatur.
Yep. And then last week of the season, they go on the road to play a non-region opponent, Russellville. Athens and Russellville has had some slobber knockers over the last decade or so, especially when they were both in the same region. When Athens was still 5A and Russellville was 5A, they were in the same region. They had some knockdown dragouts, and they've had some really good games in the last couple of years. I think, was it last year, the year before? I think
2 years ago.
Athens was at Russellville, got down early by maybe 21 or so, and come back and won that game late. And so that'll be a fun game to watch if you can tune into that game as well. Moving on, Jay, to Clements. Clements had Sheffield in town this past Friday night. You was down at Clements for that ball game, correct?
I was. Both teams played hard. Clements played at halftime. It was tied at 16, and the boys were. I was in there in the locker room at half, and they were fired up, ready to go. Coaches was fired up, and it just seemed like start of the third quarter. It's like the middle school team come out there and they didn't know what they were doing. It was just same old stuff. Yeah, they have them like a mental block second half, and then Sheffield come out and scored 30-something points.
Yeah, it was 16-16 at half. The final, Sheffield 45, Clements 16. Clements didn't put any more points on the board, and just Sheffield opened it up in the second half and beat Clements 45-16. That gets Clements to 1-8 on the season. They are 0-6 in region play and have been eliminated from the 3A playoffs just in that region of note. And we'll move straight to the Elkmont game after this one. They're both in the same region. That region includes the champion Mars Hill.
Yes.
Second seed goes to Lauderdale County. 3 seed goes to Rogers. And the 4 seed, I think Sheffield and Colbert County will be playing for the 4 seed, if I'm not mistaken, maybe this week. Let me look at that game real quick. Yes, Sheffield and Colbert County play each other, and that game will be for the 4 seed in that region. Clements has one more game on the schedule. They go to Mars Hill.
Yeah.
I'd hate to end the season at Mars Hill. We've talked about Mars Hill several times. Mars Hill beat 5A Russellville pretty handily early in the season. They're playing 3A football, probably should be playing 4A. I assume the next reclassification they'll get bumped up to 4A, possibly even 5A. I don't know if they'll bump them up 2 classes or not, but I would assume they'll be playing 4A football for sure. But they've got Mars Hill favored by 56 points, Jay. Are they going to cover 56?
I would think so.
Mars Hill covers 56 points.
I hate that for my alma mater, but yeah.
Yeah, Mars Hill, no joke, dude. They got some dudes all over the field. Me and another guy was talking a couple weeks ago. I think they play 2A baseball.
Yeah.
So are they in other sports just 2A, like say volleyball, basketball, that stuff?
I don't know.
Just playing up in football?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure they're playing 2A baseball. I mean, yes, baseball, and then 3A football. And again, they'll have this year, next year in the reclassification, and then they'll reclassify in the 26 football season. I would be willing to bet they may end up in that West Morgan, Deschler, Brooks region. Well, they'll have to realign that region because there's already 9 teams. Yeah, there's 9 teams in that region. You can't have a 10-team region. I don't think there's any 10-team regions in the state in any classification.
That's true.
I think there's 9 is the biggest as it gets.
They may have some of them schools maybe drop down or move up. Yeah,
something like that. And hey, like I said, they may bump them up to 5A. As much as they're wearing people out in 3A, and they've already beat Russellville, which is one of the top 10 teams in the state in 5A.
Yeah,
and they may bump them up to 5A, and then that would mean they may end up in a region with East and Ardmore and some of those other local Russellville, Fairview. You talking about another tough region?
Well, this has been several years ago. Coach Pugh played them in like a jamboree game.
Yeah.
Well, it started out a jamboree. Then the next year they played a home and home.
Yeah.
And they told him they'd pay him $10,000 to play them.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But he didn't take the money. But we played them, in which we led them at halftime down there. The last year we played them, and we had some injuries, and the kids, and they come back and won like 35-21 or something like that. But yeah.
So might be very lucrative for some of these teams to go play there.
Yeah.
So hey, there you go. I guess you can do some of that stuff when you private schools. I don't know. I don't know how all that stuff works. Only thing I know about Mars Hill, when I was in high school, which was early 90s, we made the first round of playoffs in baseball. I think it was my senior year. We went the first round our junior year and senior year. I can't remember. We played Pisgah, I think.
Yeah.
One of those years played Mars Hill the other year. Whichever year it was that we played Mars Hill, all I remember, I was playing center field, and all I remember is just watching them balls go out over that center field fence. They beat us about 24-2 something, and it was not pretty. And I was like, hey, these guys know how to play some baseball. Yeah. And then at some point in time, they figured out how to play football too.
And now they got an ex-Major League player as their coach.
Baseball?
Josh Willingham. Played with the Marlins.
Hey, that's pretty good hire there.
Yeah.
You hired an ex-MLB guy. Speaking of ex-MLB guys, my mom went to, I think, was her 50-year class reunion about a week or two ago down at Tanner High School. She graduated from Tanner in 1974. Do you know who was at her reunion and also a graduate of Tanner High School in 1974? That is the one, the only Gary Reedus. Played 12 years in the league also for the Reds, Pirates. He had a couple of other stops, but Mom had some pictures and was showing those to me yesterday. So another MLB guy, local MLB guy.
And didn't he coach 1 year at Tanner baseball?
Maybe. I know he coached some down at Calhoun too.
Yeah.
May did. Moving on in the same region, Elkmont was at Colbert County this past Friday night. Colbert County was up 48-0 at half. Game final, Colbert County 61, Elkmont 16.
I don't know much about it, but wow.
Yeah. My contact at Elkmont, Heath Guthrie, he texted me about halftime and said it ain't going too good down here. And, of course, we were kind of swapped a couple of texts about our score and their score and didn't get much information. But apparently Colbert County was ready for that one at home. And Colbert County, again, fighting for that 4 seed. So they were probably pretty focused. And, hey, we got to win this one before we ever get to the Sheffield game. Yeah. And so they put it away early. As we mentioned in the Clements region, Elkmont has been eliminated. That gets Elkmont to 2-6 on the season. They are 1-5 in region play, which does eliminate them in the playoff hunt. They do have a home game this Friday night, which could end up being a competitive game. They got Rogers coming in. Rogers is favored by 16 points. Rogers is a 3 seed in that region. They are, let's see, they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3. Rogers comes in 5-3, and Rogers only favored by 16. What do you like about that game, Jay?
It's Elkmont senior night, right?
Senior night at Elkmont. Rogers favored by 16. Rogers is the 3 seed in that region. They've got losses to Mars Hill 42-7, Lauderdale County 49-0, and Lawrence County, which is in our region, 5A school, 27-7. They beat Clements 28-7.
Oh,
Hey, they beat Colbert County 31-21.
wow.
Where are you leaning, Jay? Rogers and 16. Does Rogers cover 16
I'm
points?
gonna go with the Red Devils. I don't think
You're gonna take the Red Devils and
senior
the
night.
points.
Yes.
Hey, I think I am too, Jay. I'm with you. Hey, it's my alma mater. Like to see them keep it close, be competitive. They were. They've had some spurts this year when they have been competitive, and some of these games, again, like we said, they're 2-6 and 1-5 on the season. And last game at home, hopefully they can send those young men out with a win, or at least keep it close and competitive there at the Hilltop. Moving on in 4A, West Limestone was at Deschler. A pretty close game in the first half, Jay. You know anything about it?
No, sure don't.
What are you doing, bro?
Well,
do you even football?
Well, here's my when I go to Clements games, I'm in the press box with Jason Black and Tony Turner. I'm spotting numbers for Jason because he's the PA guy. So
yeah.
So I'm trying to spot and check scores at the same time. So
yeah. Well, hey, it's like me trying to look up score. I'm filming on the Ardmore sideline, and so at halftime, I'll turn my internet and all that stuff back on my phone. I turn it off during the game while I'm recording, so I'm not getting all these alerts and phone calls and all of this stuff, and leave it off. I turn it back on at halftime, check scores, try to post some on the Limestone County Sports Facebook page if I get time to do that. And so I'm with you. I'll swap a few texts and keep up with a few scores at half. But I'm not like checking scores all game to see what's going on.
And one thing, Wade, Tim does it. He, while they're doing the James Clemens games, he's sitting there on his laptop checking score stream every 5 minutes, and he posts his alerts on or notifications on Twitter on the PAS network.
Yep, so. I've used that before too. I've checked some of those. I don't know. Deschler was up 14-0 at half, and then Deschler stretched it out in the second half, beat West 34-14. That is an interesting region. West Limestone now sits at 4-5, 3-4 in region, as we've mentioned already. They're in a 9-team region, which means they're playing 8 region games, which means they've got to get to 4 wins. They are now at 3-4 in the region. Check this out, Jay. Region. Well, I guess they'll end up being the champ. West Morgan is 6-0 in region. The next 4 teams are 4-2 in region play. Brooks, Central, Deschler, Hatton. And then West comes in at number 6 and 3-4. West is still alive. West only has the Brooks game coming up this Friday night at Brooks on their schedule. That's a must-win for them. They've got to get to 4 wins, and then they've got to have some help. Yeah. They would be 4-4 in region play, and then some of these guys above them has got to catch some L's too between Brooks, Central, Deschler, Hatton. See, Brooks is number 2. West is going to Brooks, so if West could get to 4-4 and Brooks loses this week and Brooks loses next week, they would also be 4-4, and then West would have the tiebreaker against Brooks, and then they could continue to bump up. West needs a lot of help, though.
Yeah, they do, and it's gonna be tough. It's always tough to play at Brooks.
Yep, they've got Brooks favored by 25. Jay,
give me the lines.
You're going to take the Brooks Lions to beat the Wildcats in the game of the Cats to cover 25 points. Brooks comes in with only 2 losses on the season. They are now 6-2. Only losses they have are to West Morgan 42-10, and Central beat them 28-24. And so they come in pretty hot. They've got West Limestone and East Lawrence left on the schedule, and so they would need to lose both of those games. Like we said, West needs a lot of help to slide into that 4 position in seeding. And hopefully they make it happen, Joe.
Well, it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be tough. And maybe Coach Davis can win that one and get some help from other teams.
Yep. I got some sinus stuff going on, Jay.
I think we all do.
It's too early in the morning. When we record these things later in the afternoon, my sinuses and stuff are a little clearer. This early in the morning, having a tough time going. All right. Moving on, Tanner at Red Bay. Tanner had a bye week this past week, so hopefully they getting healed up, putting some things on the field in the playbook that maybe nobody has seen yet. This Friday night they go to Red Bay. Tanner is currently 2-6 and 1-3 in region play. In their region, Winston County and Decatur Heritage are still yet to play each other. They play each other, I think, this Friday night. That will be for the region championship. Winner will be the champ. Loser will be the 2 seed. Those two are pretty much locked in. 3 seed is also locked in. That is Lexington. Lexington is 2-2 in region play. And then in the currently 4 seed is Tanner, 5 seed is Red Bay. Both of those teams are 1-3, and they will be battling for the 4 spot in that region. So a win in your end game for the Tanner Rattlers at Red Bay this Friday night. They got Red Bay favored by 18.
Well, I'm going to go with the Rattlers just because of the playoff implications and Coach Smith, and then I think Tanner with the week off helped out a little bit, so I'm going to go with the Rattlers.
Yeah. Tanner does have 2 wins. One of those was, what was that?
Belgreen.
Belgreen, and then Tharpton. Tharpton in region hasn't won a single game. That's also the only game that Red Bay has won. Red Bay beat Tharpton 52-0.
I think Winston County beat them this past week 72-20.
Tharpton. Why couldn't they let off the gas?
I don't know.
Put your JV guys out there or something, man.
I don't know.
72. That's terrible.
I think that's right.
Yeah. Red Bay has 1 win against Tharpton. The usuals. Lexington beat them 35-24. Winston County beat them 51-8. Decatur Heritage beat them 35-6. So their schedule looks very similar, or these game results look very similar. And they got Red Bay favored by 18. I'm going to take the Tanner Rattlers as well. Tanner's always got athletes down there. Hope they get something going. And, again, it's a win and in. They could get into the playoffs at 3-7. Do they have another game on the schedule?
Yeah, they play Sweetwater.
Yes, Sweetwater. I don't know nothing about Sweetwater. I don't know if I've ever heard them. They're 1A. They're Sweetwater, Alabama.
Playoffs almost every year, I think.
Yeah, I don't even know. Hey, well, they got a pretty good schedule here. Looks like they're 6-2 as a 1A school, and they're coming to Tanner. Looks like that last week of the season. Yeah. So Tanner will be at Red Bay this week for a playoff berth. They win, they in. They lose, they out, and then they'll finish off the season with Sweetwater at home. All right, Jay, moving on to what I would coin the game of the week in Limestone County sports, just because we had 2 teams playing each other. And going into this game, Ardmore at East Limestone. Ardmore had not beat East Limestone since 2008. There was, I think, about a 4-year run there where they didn't play each other because I think when they started, East had bumped up to 5A, I think, at the time. Ardmore was still 4A, so they were not in region, so they did not play. So I think this was East has won 11 straight games in those 16 years. Wow. And so you're going on game number 12 in 16 years that Ardmore had not beat East. Ardmore went into the game a 22-point favorite. And at halftime, ball game, brother.
Yeah.
Ardmore was up 7-3. I was walking, headed to the men's room and, catch a couple of daddies on the way down. And every one of us said, have you ever seen a more sloppier game first half of football on both sides of the ball?
When I seen the score at half, and I'm like, are they still having a mental block thinking they can't beat this team?
I don't like. I was in the locker room before the game, and it just had this little weird feel. It kind of did. Like I was, me and another guy was in there, and afterwards we were like, man, they just feel tight, man. It's like, I've been in pregame in other games, and they're jumping pretty good. They got the music in the background, they hopping, they ready to get after it. It was kind of a serious all business feel. They finally got their feet on them in the middle of the third and into the fourth quarter. Funny thing, there was 10 total points at half, and the final score was Ardmore 42, East 24. So you went from 10 points total to 66 in one half. So they put 56 points on the board between two teams, both the teams in the second half. East quarterback play looked good. They got a pretty decent little running back. Just really, we were going back and forth till about midway through the fourth quarter. They threw a pick, had a turnover. We put it in for a touchdown and ended up getting up by 2 scores. And then we had a score late with around about a minute to go to put it away by 18. Just side note, Ardmore still East has scored more points on Ardmore outside of Russellville and Fairview than anybody did. They, even having said that, Ardmore's still number 8 in the state in 5A defensively. Their offense is, way on down. I think maybe 26-30.
Pick it up, Coach Wells.
Yeah. Jay Vassar is calling Bryant Wells out on the podcast. He just said, dial it up.
He will this week against the Warriors, I think.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that shortly. He's going to have to. But nonetheless, defense playing lights out still, even though gave up 24 points to East. East played hard, man. I think they got a bright future ahead with the new coach over there. Boys seem to be well disciplined. It was a little chippy because it's that game.
Yeah.
It was a little chippy, but nothing detrimental. I think probably there was more chippiness in the fans in the student sections than anything else.
It's about 20, 30 miles between schools. Is that right? Maybe
between East and
what is it?
Ardmore.
Yeah, how far is it?
I think it's less than 20.
But is it less? Okay,
I would say maybe 15 max.
And a lot of these kids know one another, so
yes, yeah. Well, it's funny, they're playing. During the game, they're chippy, they're talking, both teams getting personal fouls for running their mouths, all that stuff. As soon as the clock hits 0, high fives, everybody's cool.
Yeah.
And that's what it should be. Well, we got to refrain from the personal fouls. But we might talk about that a little bit if we have some time left. Ardmore, well, East first. East is 1-7, 0-5 in region play. I think we talked a little bit about that last week. They're already eliminated for the playoffs. We were talking about that, giving them some motivation to play well. They ain't got nothing to lose, and they did. Play probably, from what I've seen, one of the better games that they've played all year, and just didn't get it done. Meant to see, is that their last game, or do they got another one on the schedule?
Fairview.
Oh, yes, that's right. I forgot about that. Buddy, you hate to see that one on the schedule.
I think it's down there, too.
Oh, well, that's a haul.
Yeah.
Let me pull this up real quick, Jay. See if I got anybody in that last week also. I should have had this ready. My apologies. They got, go to Fairview, and then they got Shelby County at home. I forgot about that game. Yeah. So that's the 2 games left on their schedule. I'm assuming that last one, the Shelby County game, will be senior night, honor the seniors. They had a nice little presentation before the game honoring cancer patients, people battling cancer. If you had somebody in your family, you got a balloon when you come in, and right before the game they let all the balloons go. It was really cool. Appreciate them doing that, and just a fantastic job over there. But anyway, East has been eliminated. They do go to Fairview. Jay, I forgot to get the spread on that game. You got it?
No, I sure don't.
Hold on, I'll pull it up real quick right here. 5A.
I think it's 37.
Fairview is favored by 37 points at Fairview over East Limestone.
Give me the Aggies.
I think the Aggies will cover that as well. I'm not sure on their schedule, but they got to be getting down to the last game or two. Maybe their, senior night at home also. They'll host a playoff game, so I know they'll get that senior night stuff over with before the playoffs start. So I'll take the Aggies to cover 37 against East Limestone as well. I think East can maybe keep it close for a half, but Aggies' run game is fantastic.
Yeah.
They're just going to wear you down in the third and fourth quarter, and that's kind of what Ardmore did. Ardmore, I don't know. Well, my phone's recording. I ain't got that stat with me. I think Riddle had 21 carries for 259.
Wow.
In that game and 4 TDs. Not a bad day at the office for the J Train. He is now over 1,000 yards on the season. We were bouncing some texts back and forth between, some Ardmore people. Hey, does anybody remember the last 1,000-yard back at Ardmore? We've got 2 or 3 names, a few different years, but, we don't really have the statistics piled up somewhere to check it.
Satch Gravett wouldn't know that.
Who?
Satch. Danny Gravett is his real name, but we call him Satch. That would be a good person to ask. I can't remember if I think Snyder might have talked to him and asked him. Okay.
And he said, what was the kid's name?
Or Tony may know. I don't know.
Yeah. I text Mr. Colvette, who keeps the stats on the sideline, been doing it for 29 years. He threw me a couple names out there as well. I don't know if there's anywhere we can even check it, but that would be a good if somebody wants to keep like team stats. I know Huddle has some, but they only go back as many years as you've been using Huddle, and so most teams in this area is probably just the last 10 years or so. Even probably not even that long. Probably like the last 5.
I'm sure either Shane or Midge might know.
Yeah, we need
Daryl
to
Bryant might know.
Yeah, I'll text some of those guys maybe later on today and try to confirm. We're really just trying to get confirmation.
Yeah.
We've got, some guys in the know. Yeah, so this guy. I think 2011, 2012, I can't remember the kid's name they gave me. They said he would have been close.
Because I know when Shannon was a coach, Clint was the OC.
Yeah.
They had one kid, all he did was run the ball. Garrett something was his name.
Quarterback?
Might have been.
Miller?
No. This was before Garrett.
Okay. Yeah.
I can't. I'll have to find out.
Yeah. Well, I've got all that stuff on text messages, and my phone is currently recording this video, so I can't check that out. Anyway, nonetheless, if you're listening and you're in the know in Ardmore statistics,
It wouldn't be on there.
I look, man, they don't have like yearly statistics on there. On the website that we follow. Maybe that'll be something that they can start doing in the future. Be awesome if you just could go to one-stop shop website and get all these stats on all these kids for the last 20 or 30 years. It would be fantastic, but nobody has those yet. Anyway, Javian Riddle is over 1,000 yards with 2 regular season games left. You start getting around the 1,400 and up mark, them kids start getting noticed, and he's only a sophomore. I think the kid from Russellville had about 1,600 yards last year in his sophomore season, and he's getting some looks and talk about being D1, and so Riddle may be in that same genre of player, and really they split the carries between him and Hawthorne. Xavier, pretty much both of those backs. Running styles are a little different. Xavier's more the bruiser. He's going to run over you, break a lot of tackles. Riddle can make one cut and take it to the house. He's a big back too. He'll run over you too. But I think Xavier's got maybe 500-600 yards himself. And so with those 2 dudes, both 10th graders, quarterback 10th grader, Alex has had about 2 or 3. The last 2 or 3 games, over 100 yards passing. Had a couple touchdown passes to newcomer Keaton Johns this past week. Keaton's a senior, first year he's ever played football. Wow. He had 2 touchdowns. And so they really seem to be heading in the right direction at the right time. Going into this week, we've already talked about East and Fairview. West Point comes to town at Ardmore. This, crazy as it sounds, Jay, is a play-in game in the region. Fairview is 5-0. They're the region champ. Russellville is 4-1. They are the runner-up. They are both locked in those positions. The 3, 4, and 5 is what's up in the air. Currently, Ardmore is 3-2 in the 3 seed. Lawrence County is 3-3 in the 4 seed. Lawrence County's done with region play. West Point is number 5 seed at 2-3. If Ardmore wins, they're 4-2, locked in at the 3 seed. Lawrence County is the 4 seed. If West Point, who has only won 2 ball games all year, but they won the right to, won 2 region games, beats Ardmore, then it goes down to like the 8th tiebreaker, which is pretty much number of wins of your opponents within 2 classifications of you. Lawrence County has 10 because East Lawrence, some of the teams that they've played and beat have, 4 wins or 3 wins, and you add all those up, they get like 10. Yeah. Ardmore's got like 4. And so that's what the tiebreaker looks like. And so if West Point beats Ardmore, Lawrence County will be the 3 seed, and then possibly 3 and 7 West Point would be in the 4 seed, and the 7 and 3 Ardmore Tigers would be staying at the house.
Wow.
Yeah. And even discussing like strength of schedule and scheduling, a better opponents, it's almost – there's no really point in doing it, because if you schedule tougher opponents and lose – then you kind of shooting yourself in the foot, because I don't think you get those wins if you lose that game. If you say, we scheduled Tanner, which is 2A, they're 2 classifications lower than us. I don't think you get any school that's lower than 2 classifications. I don't think you get those wins either. And so I guess it's probably to your advantage to stay within, if you're 5A, 3A and up.
Yeah.
But again, I think Ardmore was helping Tanner and West was helping Clements out early in the season when they scheduled those games. I don't know how all that stuff works. It's a crazy time. The crazy thing is you either potentially have a 3 and 7 team going to be a 4 seed and a 7 and 3 team sitting at the house, or the 7 and 3 team or 8 and 2 team is going to be a 3 seed. And the crazy thing, Lawrence County's done; they're locked in.
Yeah,
Lawrence County has already clinched a spot. They're just waiting to see if they're going to be the 3 or the 4 seed. I think last time we looked, Jay, we looked at the projected playoff projections. They currently have Ardmore as the 3 seed playing corner. Okay. And that's the region that Birmingham region has corner: Ramsey, Carver, Birmingham, Winona. And their region is top to bottom, similar to the bottom of ours, where it just changes every week. I mean, they've got 5 seeds beating 1 seeds, and a 6 seed beating a 3 seed. And so every week, this projection for Ardmore has changed. I think when it first started, we were playing Carver. Last week, they projected us playing Ramsey. This week, they projected us playing corner. I'm just glad we're still in the projection and still in the talk here this late in the season. Did we talk about spread on this game?
No, we did.
They got Ardmore favored by 14 at home. You already know what I'm going to say.
Yeah, I'm going with the Tigers as well.
I'm going with the Tigers too. They had us by 22 last week at East. We ended up winning by 18. We did have that score late to stretch it out a little bit. But being at home, big game, we're going to have a crowd too.
Oh, yeah.
Ardmore travels well. We had a big crowd over at East Limestone last week, especially when they're playing well. And so I think that will be the favor.
So no pressure, Bryant Wells. No pressure. Just run the ball. Run the ball.
Hey, don't overthink it. 42 can tote the rock.
Yeah.
And he's been good. They've been good about keeping his legs fresh. Him and Xavion just swap. Xavion, I think, actually starts. And then Riddle kind of comes in, a couple drives later, and keeping both of those dudes fresh. Now, Riddle does not play on the defensive side. Xavier does in some different packages, and so he sees both sides of the ball. And but just keeping both of those dudes' legs fresh in the fourth quarter has paid off for us tremendously.
Health-wise, Ardmore good?
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody of Cameron Jarrett. Broke his leg early in the season. He's been out since about week 3. And that's about it. I don't think we've got no significant injuries. So far, so good. I appreciate you jinxing it and bringing it up, Jay.
Hey, no, ain't no jinx there.
Yeah. But, hey, we'll know Friday night about some of these teams. Like we mentioned, Tanner and Red Bay. Let me see if they got a projection on that 2A bracket. Come on. They are projecting Red Bay to beat Tanner and be the 4 seed, and then play Coosa Christian in that bracket.
It'll be a long ride.
Mm-hmm. It's always long rides in them first round playoff games. That's what we're talking about at Ardmore. Ardmore has never hosted a playoff game. I talked to Bill White. He used to coach up there years ago. He's always around Ardmore doing something. They had a really good team in '82, and on this website it just says Ardmore versus Hazelwood. It doesn't say at Hazelwood. And I was like, did we host that game? So I seen him on the sideline Friday night, and I was like, hey, did we host Hazelwood in '82? Or did we go down there? He said, no, we had a really good team. We went down there and got smoked, but that was when all them goods and all them dudes was coming through Hazelwood, and he said they smoked us.
I remember the year, I think it was Clint's first year we made the playoffs. We had to go to Mumford, which is right down past Talladega Superspeedway.
Yep.
And we dressed in the gym, and I kid you not, we walked like from the church all the way down to Lake Ida to the field, Seymour.
So about a half a mile.
Yeah. We no sooner get in the gym for halftime, and it seemed like the referees let 5 minutes.
Yeah. I know it took y'all 8 minutes to get over here, guys, but it's going to take you 8 more minutes to get back to the field. Yeah, Jay, hey, I just want to talk a little college football, but we've already chit-chatted enough. Maybe here in a couple weeks when all of our teams are done playing and we've got about 3 state maps, blue state maps up here, we can chit-chat about some college football. Not going to have time to do that today. We do want to recognize Flutterly Designs. We've got our caps on. Mine's turned around backwards. You can't see it, but you can see the laser engraving on Jay's hat there on this nice, beautiful Yeti-style metal cup. They can laser engrave all kinds of things for you, caps, cups, all kinds of stuff. Maybe if you got a business wanting to give your employees some gifts for Christmas, I would reach out to them. There'll be a link on our Facebook page when we post this on our Facebook page. We always post a link to that business as well. Thank you, Kevin and Mindy Hillis, for being a partner of the show. Got Tailgate Talk going on this week?
Tailgate Talk this week. Be back at Applebee's. We talked to our local coaches and recap this past week's game and what's coming up this coming up week. And we appreciate all the likes, all the follows. Just keep updating us with scores and all that good stuff on the website. And looking forward to another week of high school football.
Yep, got a few more weeks left. Hope you stay tuned in to Limestone County Sports. Appreciate you listening. Have a great, fantastic week. God bless.
See y'all.